My experience is that your computer is going to die when you need it the most. So to protect ourselves from that, we need to do some general maintenance on Windows 10 PCs to keep them running at their best and to make sure that they're not going to die when you absolutely need them the most. So let's look at some of the things that we can do to save ourselves from those dreaded computer failures. First, we're going to click on Start, and I'm going to start typing Restore. And it's going to give me some options here. The real option that I'm looking for is my recovery. So you'll see create a restore point. That's in the recovery dialog. So we're going to click on recovery here. I can create a recovery drive. I can open a system restore, or I can configure system restore. So I'm going to go ahead and configure my system restore. And what we see now are my system properties and my system restores. And currently I have protection settings. My available drive is C, and I've got this turned on. And the way that I did that is I used my configure, and I just turned on system protection, and I told it how much drive space it can use. So what this means is every so often my computer is going to take a snapshot of how my computer is configured. And then if I install something that breaks my computer, I can just restore back to that point in time. Now, this doesn't fix everything, obviously, but if your computer starts running strangely after you've installed something, this allows you to go back. For example, if you get a bad Windows update and all of a sudden your mouse doesn't work anymore, you can then go back and restore to before the update, and your computer will begin functioning as it did before the update. So this is a really nice thing to have turned on. It's important that you have it and you know how to use it. So if we had an issue, I can go ahead and click on my system restore function, and it's going to recommend the last time it was done. So the last time that this restored was on 4/23 at 8:21 a.m., and that's when I installed the Zoom Outlook plugin. So I updated that. Or I can click here, and I can choose a different restore point, but I only have one currently here because I've cleaned up my drive. This would allow me, if I did this, I click on recommended restore and I hit next, it would allow me to restore my machine to back before I installed this plugin. And then if I wanted that plugin again, I would have to reinstall it. So that's just a really quick way to get your system back to a working state. The next thing that we want to look at are our applications. So if we come over to Start and we start typing applications, you're going to see apps and features or add or remove programs. Now this is personal preference. Apps and features is the new interface for managing your applications on a Windows PC, and it's just fine. What it's going to allow you to do is come in here and look at the applications you have installed on your computer, and if you wanted to remove one, you could. So for example, if I no longer wanted Fox News, I can just simply uninstall that, and it's going to remove that application and its settings from my computer and just allows me to clean things up. Many times we install an application because we want to use it, but we only use it once. This is a great way to take things back off of your computer and to clean the computer up at the same time. Once I've removed my applications, I want to clean up my drive. So I click on Start and I do Disk, and it's going to pull up Disk Cleanup. And what we see here is the Disk Cleanup dialog box. And you'll notice it's going to pull up and say, okay, here are all the places where you have files that can be cleaned up. And currently I could save 916 megabytes of space just by clicking the button and cleaning up my drive. I can also go to the advanced option and click Clean Up System Files. Now what this is going to do is it's actually going to scan the system for backups, it's going to look at all the Windows updates, and it's going to remove all those temporary files. So now I have a longer list of items that I can clean up, and it's going to clean up more of the drive. Now it's important to understand that these things do different things, like temporary internet files. With this turned on, it's going to clean up all of those cached files, cookies that are in your browser. But it's also going to remove all the passwords that you've stored in your browser. So that's going to create some headaches for you. It's a personal preference. I clean everything and I just re-enter my passwords because I use a password manager. Some people get very annoyed with that. What I can tell you is websites will work better if you, from time to time, clean up those temporary internet files. If you're having problems with a website, it's not loading properly, you're getting pop-ups, it's doing strange things, it's more than likely the internet cache. So by cleaning up those temporary internet files, your browser is going to run better, you're going to have more hard drive space, and overall your computer is going to run better. So we just keep all of these selected and turned on, and we hit OK, and it's going to permanently delete all of these files, and we're going to hit yes. And it's going to clean up the drive. It's going to empty the recycle bin, it's going to get rid of bad drivers, it's going to get rid of system files that you'll never use. It just cleans all of that up and gives you some space back. We cleaned up our drive, now we want to organize it. The way that we do that is with disk defragmenter. So I'm going to do disk defrag, and you'll notice disk defragmentation and optimization. So when we click on this one, it's going to show me the hard drives that I have, and it's going to allow me to optimize those drives. Now I've already optimized this, see, 0 days since last run, but I can optimize it again, or I can analyze the drive. You can also change your settings here. So if we click on this, we can tell it to automatically do this. So I run this daily, and I tell it to go ahead and run it on my C drive daily, and it just runs in the background and optimizes the drive. On an SSD drive, it's just going to trim the files and make it a little bit more efficient. You likely won't notice a huge improvement. But on a spinning drive, this will actually reorder how the files are structured on the computer and will show you huge increases in performance. So this is something you definitely want to have running, and it's something that you want to run on a manual basis if your computer starts to slow down. So we'll go ahead and optimize that, and you'll see how quickly it does this. The next thing that we want to do is we want to look at what's the computer doing when it boots up. So when you install applications, what happens is those applications want resources. They think they're the most important thing ever. So many applications will go ahead and automatically start and run in the background even if you're not using them when you start your computer. When you get 10, 20, 30 applications that are all doing that, it takes much longer for your computer to boot, and it's eating up resources that you don't need to eat up in the back end of the computer. So the way that we look at our startup items is we click on Start, and we just start typing task, and you'll see Task Manager come up here. So I'm going to click on Task Manager. This is going to start by showing you everything that's running on your computer and how much memory it's using. So for example, I'm running Microsoft Teams, and it's using 455 megabytes of memory currently. If you ever get a stuck program, you can come in here and right-click on that program and force in the task, which will make the program shut down so that you can restart it and everything will work. What we're really looking for in the Task Manager, though, is the startup items. So I'm going to go over here to my Startup Items tab. So if we pick one of these, we'll pick Slack. If I right-click on that, I can enable or disable. And what that means, if it's enabled, when I boot the computer, that will automatically start. And if I right-click and I disable, if I disable that, it won't automatically start. And it's not going to break anything if it doesn't automatically start. It's just you're going to need to start that application if you want it to start. So this is going to increase the speed at which your computer boots, and it's going to free up resources for you as you're using your computer. Only have things auto start when they need to auto start. That's really important. The last thing that we're going to do is we're going to look at the registry. Now, the Windows registry is a huge file that basically controls everything that Windows does. If you want to have a registry that's just going to work, what we want to do is we want to run an application that's going to clean it up. So I use an application called CC Cleaner, and I use the free version. Now, there is a paid version that does a lot more, but really all I use this for is cleaning up the registry, and I keep my registry fairly clean, so we probably won't see a lot of errors in here. But if I go to my registry and I scan for issues, it's going to scan the registry and it's going to look for different issues that might be impacting the computer. So in this case, it's found 2 registry issues that it needs to correct. So I'm going to go ahead and fix those selected issues, and it's going to ask me if I want to back the registry up. Now, I told you the registry runs everything that Windows does, right? Well, we really want to back this up before we start cleaning and deleting things. So we're going to click yes. And I'm only going to keep this for a very limited amount of time. I just want to make sure that my computer functions after my registry edits. So I'm just going to save that to the desktop for right now and click Select All Issues. And it's going to clean those up. And we close it. And now my registry is clean. Now, there are a lot of different tools that you can use in here to clean up your drive and to clean up applications. But I've shown you the default way in Windows to do that already, so we don't need to go through all of that. So very basic tips. You need to do maintenance on your Windows 10 computer because over time it will slow down and it will start doing strange things. We do that by going in and cleaning up system files, removing applications, defragging the disk, monitoring our startup items, and cleaning up our registry. All of those tools have been shown in this video. And if you do this on a regular basis, your machine's going to run much longer and it's going to be much more stable.